I just bought a 126 unit apartment building in Iowa. And with that purchase, we now own 460 units at my company, Pineda Capital. And all of that's happened in just the last 5 months. And so in today's video, I'm gonna walk through what all the numbers look like and how much our investors look to make on this deal. If you're new to my channel, my name's Ryan Pineda. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur, and the goal of this channel is to help people live the wealthy way. If you wanna learn more about what that is, go to wealthyway.com and get access to all of our free resources. Make sure you check it out. So first off, you might be wondering, why Iowa? For most people, when they choose to invest, the first thing they do is look for a market that they want to invest in. Once they pick their market, they then go build out their team of realtors, contractors, lenders, and everyone needed to do deals. And this is exactly what we do here in Vegas for my house flipping business. This model has allowed us to flip hundreds of homes here in Vegas, and it's been really good. But when I decided I wanted to do apartments, I knew I was much better off going nationwide versus staying in my local market. And in order to tell you why, let me explain how real estate syndication works. There are 3 main parts to a syndication deal. There's the person who finds and negotiates the deal. There is the person who raises the money to purchase the deal. And there's the person who handles all the operations for the deal. This would be all the construction, the property management, and everything else. And so when I looked at my career to this point, I've realized that my biggest strengths are in raising money and building big relationships with other operators across the country. On social media, people send me deals all the time wanting me to invest with them. I'm also a part of many different masterminds, and I have my own coaching program where people are doing a lot of deals. So instead of me building this marketing and sales team trying to go reach out directly to sellers, it's a lot easier for me to just let all of these deals come in from everyone else and then underwrite them and pick the very best ones that we want to be a part of. And it works out great because many of these people who are good at finding these deals aren't necessarily that great at raising money. We've got a big list of investors, and I also draw in new investors whenever I post about our deals. That's also one of the big points of making this video. By showcasing what we're doing, we're gonna end up getting more investors for future deals. But raising the money for a deal is only one piece. We're always taking out loans to go buy the real estate as well. And in order to qualify for those loans, a lot of times someone has to personally guarantee them, and they want to see the experience of the operator and the principals involved. And so for me, they're gonna check on all of my assets, my net worth, how much cash I have, my experience in multifamily, and they're gonna say whether or not I can qualify for that loan to buy that building. And thankfully to this point, they've allowed me to purchase 460 units based on all those factors. And as I keep adding units to the portfolio and I keep getting more experience, they're gonna let me buy more and more buildings. So this is really good for someone who has a deal, but they may not have the capital, the net worth, or the experience that I have. Instead of just focusing on one specific market and building out a team for construction, for finding deals, and for management, I can just utilize the relationships and the trust that I've built with other operators and investors. It's the ultimate win-win for all parties, and it's gonna allow us to scale so much faster. And this business model is exactly what we did on this 126 units in Iowa. Our partner, Chris Salazar, on this deal has built his company in the Davenport market. And he brought us this deal that needed a ton of work, and we were gonna have to raise a good amount of money to purchase it. And as we underwrote it, we realized there's a ton of equity in this deal and a lot of upside. And so we said yes to the deal, and we went to our investors and raised all of the money. So speaking of the deal, it consists of a 96 unit apartment complex and a 30 unit apartment complex. But as we were in escrow, the seller mentioned that they also owned a 30 unit down the street that they'd be willing to sell as well. Now normally a 30 unit would probably be too small for us, but because it was right next to the other one, we decided to do the deal. Now we did 2 separate syndications for both of these deals, but for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna refer to them as one deal to give you a clearer picture. Now the reason that this was a great deal was because the city forced the sellers to get rid of all of the tenants due to the unlivable conditions. And for us, I thought it was great because it gives us the opportunity to totally renovate all aspects of the apartment complex with no issues. We don't have to worry about certain tenants' leases being too long or worrying about working around other people. We can just go straight into it and get to work. And due to it not cash flowing and being in bad condition, we got it at a smoking deal. For the 96 unit apartment complex, we paid $2.8 million. And for the 30 unit, we paid $750,000. So if you combine that all together, it averages out to paying about $28,000 per door. And if you see all the inflation across the country and you look in the apartment space, $28,000 a door just doesn't really exist when you're buying over 100 units. And not to mention, these are in the Quad Cities, which are a really cool town. In fact, when I was playing minor league baseball for the Oakland A's, we would always go and play in the Quad Cities, and it was a really nice stadium. They've got a lot of cool stuff happening over there, and they're opening up a brand new Amazon facility that's gonna give a lot of jobs. Now, even though we got a great purchase price, the renovation is gonna cost even more than what we actually paid for it. We're anticipating it's gonna be around $5.5 million to renovate all of the units. It's a lot of work, but as I said before, I'd rather get something in this kind of condition and renovate it the right way and get it rebranded in a brand new space. As you can see here, there are some examples of the work that Chris has done on other apartment complexes, and we plan to do the same with this one. We're gonna give it a brand new name, a brand new website, and it's gonna be a completely different place. Now, at those numbers, we should be all in around $9 million between purchase price and renovation. At that level, we're paying around $71,000 a door. And our hope is to get it stabilized in the next 18 to 24 months. If we're able to do that effectively, this building should be worth around $12 million depending on where the market is. It's anyone's guess where the market's gonna be in 2 years, but it is my belief that it's gonna continue going up with all of this money printing, with all of the hedge funds buying in. The prices of apartments have gotten crazy. If you thought single family housing was getting bad, apartments and commercial real estate are even worse. And when I say worse, I mean it in a good way if you're actually selling it. Now, if we're able to get that value in a couple of years, the goal would be to refinance all of our investors' capital out and then own the building together. Now, you might be wondering, how does this deal actually work for investors? Well, in this deal, there's a 50-50 partnership between the GPs and the LPs. GP stands for General Partners. That would be Pineda Capital and Chris's team. The general partners are the ones who are doing the work. LP stands for Limited Partner. These would be the investors. They're the ones putting up the money, and they are passive in this deal. And so the way that it breaks down is Chris's team and Pineda Capital are splitting that GP. So they own 25% of the total deal, Pineda Capital owns 25% of the total deal, and the investors own 50% of the total deal. Now, with that, the LPs also get what's called a preferred return. And this preferred return is anywhere from 6 to 8% depending on if they're in our top tier investment group. And so what that means is the investors need to be paid 8% on their capital in the deal as long as it's in the deal. Once that is paid out first, then we start the 50-50 split above that. So hypothetically, let's just say that the deal made 12% for the year. The first 8% would go to the LPs, and the remaining 4% would be split 50-50. So investors would make 10%, the GPs would make 2%. So let's talk about how much money we actually raised from our LPs. In order to do this deal, we needed to raise about $2.5 million from them. We then needed to get a loan for about $7 million to cover everything else. This includes the purchase price, the renovation cost, also a big contingency budget in case something happens. And it's also gonna cover a lot of our other costs with the deal since it's not gonna be cash flowing for a while. Remember, we gotta renovate every single unit. There's no money coming in on this deal right now, but we still have to make the payments on the mortgage for the loan. Now, I'll also add, I put about $200,000 of my own money into this deal as part of that $2.5 million that we raised. Most banks wanna see me put skin in the game, and it also makes our investors feel good when I'm involved as well. And quite frankly, I really like the deal, so why not? Now, let's just say in 2 years, we got the property stabilized, it's cash flowing, and we now have a choice whether to refinance it or to sell it for a profit. So let's say in 2 years, we sell this thing for $12 million, and we're looking at somebody who's invested $100,000 as an LP. Well, in year one, they didn't make anything because, as we said, we have to get the property fixed up. There's no cash flow coming in, it needs to get stabilized first. In year two, as you can see, they made $8,700 in cash flow. But then there was a liquidity event. We sold the property, they ended up getting $141,000. That $141,000 represents the $100,000 coming back to them plus $41,000 in profit. And when you combine those together, you can see that their $100,000 turned into $150,000 in 2 years. Let's just say in a best case scenario, we're able to get all of their cash out of the deal, plus some additional refinance proceeds, meaning that in this hypothetical example, they get their $100,000 back and maybe $5,000 in refinance proceeds because we got a really good appraisal. From there, they now are in the deal with no money, while they still own 50% of the building, while we as the GP own the other 50%. Now, what happens in this scenario is that the 8% preferred return goes away since they don't have any more money into the deal, and all of the cash flow and everything else is just split 50-50 right off the bat. And that's really what we're striving for, because if we can do that, then theoretically the returns are infinite because none of us have money into the deal anymore. We can just cash flow it for as long as we see fit. So I hope that gives you the general idea of how syndication works. There's some other things that go into it with fees and other technical aspects, but overall, that is the general idea of any real estate syndication. And if you want to get involved in our next deal, all you have to do is be an accredited investor and go to pinedacapital.com. If you invest in fund number 2 right now, it'll give you access to deals before the public and get you on our highest preferred return tier. So go check it out and apply for a call with our team. But anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.